Hi. So, this is kind of the second part. Pretty much, we're really close to the end of my Mormon story up until the time like I left. A lot has happened in the years since then, but this is kind of wrapping it up a little bit. And it includes Ches. He is here today, my cute husband. And he's here because we're going to talk about, in my last little installment, I talked about how my family kind of took the news that me and my siblings had left the church. And this installment is a little bit, it's all about how Chez's family reacted to us leaving the church. So
it's fun.
With my parents, they were kind of better than we expected. My siblings and I knew, we're like, they could totally shun us and abandon us. Or they could also be like, oh, thank goodness you're out because now we can stop pretending. Because it could have gone either way. And you can look at that video for those reasons why and everything.
You talk about how they asked me multiple times if I went to church.
Yes.
I said, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I said it's in chronological order.
Okay.
These are the notes. So I chronicled this. I wrote it down.
And I didn't read it, so I'll just shush.
No, you don't have to shush. He's going to talk about his feelings in addition to my feelings that I wrote down, because this is really his story. They're my family too. Yeah. And I, of course, have feelings about things. We will have been married 12 years this year. So 12. It's been around, that's longer than, my oldest daughter was 8 when we got married. And so, he's been around for more than my kids, more than half my kids' lives and everything. And, so they are my family too. And so I do, of course, it's not flippant to me. It's not something that isn't a big deal to me. It is a big deal to me. So I do have feelings, but since it's his family, Ches is also participating in this. But
I want to validate everything she says is the thing.
But Chez's family was a lot harder than we expected. While my family was easier than we expected, more easygoing, Chez's family was a lot harder. His dad is very, very vocal about basically everything. If he's not happy with something, if he doesn't think you're doing something right, he had a lot to say about the house we bought, he just has opinions about everything. So
without all the
information all the time.
Yeah.
And his family is, for the most part, very, very strict LDS. His oldest brother was in leadership. I'm pretty sure he was in, at least, if he wasn't the bishop, he was at least in the bishopric.
Yeah, so he probably still is. I don't know.
Yeah, probably still is, or has been back. Oh yeah,
sweetheart.
He's wonderful. His family is wonderful, and his brothers and sisters have been wonderful to us too. And he's got 2 sisters who are also married in the temple as well. So, but he also has another brother who hasn't ever really been a member ever, and
he's my hero.
He's awesome. So we thought, that would probably be a good stepping stone. They include him and they treat him well and everything, and he's included in everything. So we thought, well, it's probably a good window into how they would treat us when we told them that we had left the church. And so, just before I go any further, again, I love Chez's family. For those who are tuning in now and who haven't listened to the whole story, I married Ches after my divorce. 5 kids. I had 5 children at that time from the very first day they met me and the first day they met my kids, they were always super accepting and very loving, and they treated my kids like their own. And Ches too. My kids love him. They call him dad, and not at the expense of their father. They call him dad too. We co-parent well. They are very loved, very supported kids. So it's just that he's been here a lot. He's been here for a long time, and so have their grandparents now, and so but yeah, they treated my kids like their own, and that was very, very important to me. So there was stress with telling them this, because we were confident that it was going to be okay with some time, And I had hidden my post. Remember, I made a post on Facebook saying that I had stepped away from the church because, I did that last week. I talked about it and I read what I wrote on Facebook. And I hid his parents, not his siblings, but his parents. I hid it from his parents, just because Ches wasn't ready for that. It was he needed to do that in his time, kind of a thing. I didn't mention Ches in my Facebook post. I wasn't like, we are leaving. I said, I am leaving the church. I'm stepping away from the church, just because he didn't want to talk about it at all with his family. His thought was right, you were just if we don't bring it up, they're not going to bring it up. It'll just be fine. Don't ask, don't tell, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I just didn't want the blowback. Anyway, keep going.
Okay. So, yeah. So his parents didn't see it. And, he just kind of felt as long as we didn't bring it up or they didn't bring it up, don't ask, don't tell, we would just let it lie. And that was really hard for me because I didn't necessarily want to talk about it. I didn't want to stir any pots or cause a confrontation. It's just I had been straddling that line for so long. And 100% every family activity we had revolves around the church. It just does. We meet for holidays, and all the holidays there is a religious implication, and there's even Memorial Day. It's the resurrection. We're going to be together.
It's
forever.
like going to a meeting with a bishop. Any meeting, if
there are prayers even at restaurants, and it's
yes.
It's just, which it is what it is. But I was exhausted by it, and I was ready to just have it be done, so that I didn't feel like I was living, so that I could feel like I was living an authentic life. Careful. And being,
that was me.
It's okay. It just was so, which is, the cats do it sometimes and they get crazy, and it is what it is. But, anyway, but yeah, I did what I could to support Ches in that while still being authentic to myself. So I hid it from his parents so they didn't see it. Not that his siblings couldn't have shown them or anything like that, but that...
To be clear, I don't care if she did tell him. I just,
he didn't want to talk about it. He wasn't trying to make me repress anything or fake anything. He just was
knew it was a can of worms.
Yeah. Yeah, which I understood. And that's one of the reasons I didn't tell them, was because I was you need to tell them on your own time. It's coming out. So we had Easter at Chez's parents in 2024, and it was the first event we had with them since we left the church. Remember, we officially left. We stopped going to the church at the end of February, the last Sunday, and then it was the 10th or the 11th of March where I made that post on Facebook. So it was early March, and the last day of March 31st, was Easter. It was early Easter that year. So it was the first event we had with them since we left the church. We also hadn't talked to them at all.
It was fun.
It was fun. No, we had gone to dinner with them before we actually left. It was mid-February, remember? And your sister was going to bless her baby. And she was going to bless Brooks. And we because it was your dad's birthday, and so we went to a restaurant and everything, and we were going to go to the baby blessing, but then we decided not to go to the baby blessing because Ches was I don't think I'm ready for the confrontation of not standing in the circle. And we didn't
remember that.
We didn't go to church that day because I had told the Relief Society I was going to be at a baby blessing, and instead of leaving us alone because we were going to be at the baby blessing, they came to our house.
I was all peace out at the church, bye.
I know, you were
and you were still going. I was no, I'm done.
I felt the obligation of tying up the loose strings and everything.
Yeah,
there was a lot that I had responsibility for, and I respected the people I work with, and so I didn't want to just, anyway, but so it was the first event that we had gone to since we officially had left the church. And we hadn't talked to them since then, but it was, I was certain some of his siblings had seen my post. And it was available to those on my friends list, even though I hid it from his parents, they could have shown him. So I didn't know what they may have talked about with anybody. I didn't know,
You were also doing a little bit of the witchy stuff then too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I always have.
So cool.
I always have. I got more into it and more like
she's so cool.
Obvious about it, less like tongue in cheek, or less quiet about it, less like excuse, like it's just fun, and a little bit more like, no, this is like what I do, versus, because I always have been a little bit kind of witchy, fairy kind of esque, right? And because it's the people who never knew me on any kind of deeper level that's surprised by that. Right? Yeah, like Ches was like, yeah, cool. What's new?
Teach me.
Yeah.
I'm your Padawan.
Anyway, so we showed up, and we did go there early. We were kind of the first ones there.
We're always.
We had brunch with my sister's family, like with my family at my sister's house, and so we went a little bit early. Our kids, it was just me and Ches and Clementine, because our kids were with their dad that day, and they came later. They were dropped off at their grandparents' house. So, but we showed up, and they immediately asked us how church was. And we said we didn't go to church. We went to brunch with my family at my sister's house. And we were totally honest about, we didn't go to church today. We had an Easter celebration with my family before we came here. And the day went on, and his siblings showed up one by one. They all asked Ches.
Me?
Ches, not me. They asked Ches, did you go to church today?
What?
Which... Why? And I think they may have seen my post and were trying to figure out if Ches was involved in that at all, or if it was just me, but it kind of drove him crazy. It wasn't typical behavior for us to come to a family event and for people to ask us 12 times if we went to church that day. The passive aggressiveness was alarming. It wasn't hey, it's Easter Sunday. Usually there's a pretty cool special program. Was there a special program? Or how was church today? Or anything like that. It was, did you go to church today? Which is a bizarre question.
That? Mind your own business. Sorry, this is my own family. I am their business, but still, that's what I was thinking.
Well, and I also had gotten my nose tattooed, so...
pierced.
Yes. I didn't get a face tattoo. No, I got a nose piercing, and it's so cute, and I love my nose tattoo. There it is again, okay?
Well, I really want to show up with fake face tattoos.
Just to see what they say. No, I had gotten my nose pierced the weekend before.
So sexy.
And now I had 3 tattoos by that time. So, and I got all of my tattoos while I was active in the church. It's in Ches too. But it's not it was outside of the norm for me anyway. And I don't feel it's my nose ring isn't I don't know, it...
We got tattoos.
It's still really minimalist. It's cute, but, and I'd wanted one for years. So it wasn't something I could hide. It wasn't something that I could they saw it. And I also wasn't wearing garments. I was wearing these cute overalls, and I had a tank top underneath it.
I wasn't wearing garments either, was I?
No, you weren't. We had stopped wearing garments a long time ago. But usually it was stuff that I could pass off. I was wearing a tank top because it was the 4th of July and we were in the sun. Those kinds of things that
No.
Okay, that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? And this one was not. I had a little cardigan, but it was a lacy kind of cardigan, and you could see through it. I was clearly not wearing garments, and I had a new nose piercing. So, there were some signs. If we left the church, I wouldn't say anything, but there would be signs. If I won the lottery. I don't know. I'm such a nerd. I'm sorry. Anyway, but the whole day just got really weirder and more awkward from there. Like my son Teague, and I've talked about him a lot. He is eccentric.
Boy, love him.
And I know he's so unique and so clever and so fun. But he is very eccentric. He's very silly and but not silly though, but like he's very serious about his clothes. And he
and also doesn't not serious at the same time.
Right. He's silly and like, but also like takes like he puts a lot of thought into it, is what I mean. You know, like he is very
deliberate.
Yeah, very deliberate.
Yeah.
And my kids were dropped off at my in-laws' house from their dad's house because it was his holiday, and so instead of bringing them home, he brought them to their grandparents so they could do the Easter with us. Yeah.
Nice of him.
Yeah. And and then Teague, he is 14 now. He would have been 13 a year ago. And he came in a rainbow tutu with bunny ears and a cottontail, which for us is like super common. Like we were not even remotely surprised other than the fact that we didn't get it for him. So it was like, oh, cool, you know, like.
And not unusual. Like who cares? Like
totally not unusual for him.
Well, it has to be a girl that wears it.
Yeah, and
that's
just like I said, like super common. And he had gotten it in his Easter basket, and while we didn't know that he'd be wearing it like when he came, because we just didn't get it for him, but like we didn't expect him to change, you know, like,
and we didn't care.
We didn't have any hand in you know. We didn't have any hand in his apparently controversial outfit, but I just didn't think it was a problem. It was an Easter silly little costume thing that he was wearing. It just was not a big deal. And, you know, like, well, my in-laws are pretty used to seeing Teague dress up like really snazzy. Like he'll wear top hats or bowler hats or fedoras or,
I wonder where he gets that.
Well, he's got a few eccentric parents. His dad's pretty eccentric. You are always wearing hats, but he's less of a flat cap. That's more Heath. Heath wears more flat caps like you.
Yeah, but I do have fedoras.
You do.
I have hats.
Ches is always wearing hats, and I love it. And Heath just turned 12, and he's the flat cap kid. He's always wearing the newsy hats and the flat caps and stuff.
But Teague fit my head.
Teague is like more like high society. Like I said, like top hats and, you know, like those kinds of things. And he'll wear nice suits, and he kind of dresses like an elf sometimes, or he'll dress like a steampunk, or like, you know, he'll wear horns in his hair or something like that. And, you know, any various thing. But I think the tutu was kind of a cherry on top, along with what appeared to be, you know, suspicion about our lack of attendance of church, you know. So like my father-in-law seemed visibly annoyed with Teague wearing this tutu.
It's stupid because like it's not surprising.
Yeah, like it's just not like.
My kids have always been a little weird, yeah.
But like in the good way. Like we encourage them to be who they are, and it's fun.
Weird is not a naughty word.
No, if you call him weird, he's like, oh, thank you. Yeah. I would never want to be anything different. So yeah, like don't come at us about the weird.
Yeah, we support it.
We love it. We love them to be themselves. And so, you know, but like he just was really annoyed with it, and it like affected the entire mood for the rest of the whole day. We ended up leaving really early and just went home and played games together and tried to console each other, because our kids were like, what the heck is going on? Like, this is, you know, they felt it too. But the next day, Chez's mom sent us an email.
Oh my gosh.
And she said, this morning I was reading in Come Follow Me lesson and came across this paragraph in scripture. It's kind of funny because I know you guys read the Come Follow Me lessons, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So I don't really know why I'm sending you this, but for some reason, Heavenly Father immediately told me that I really needed to. Okay, so this is, I don't know, should I read the whole thing? It's just a little excerpt from the Come Follow Me. So I guess if you really want to go look up that lesson, it would have been like the first week of April from 2024. And it says, I can avoid spiritual blindness by focusing on the Savior. As Jacob worked to turn his people more completely to the Lord, he warned them not to be spiritually blind and not to despise the gospel's words of plainness. So here's some scriptures. There's Jacob 4, 8 through 18, Jacob 4, 13 through 14, and Jacob, it just repeats there. So, and it says, the Book of Mormon says, behold, my brethren, he that prophesieth, let him prophesy to the understanding of men, for the Spirit speaketh the truth and lieth not. Wherefore it speaketh of things as they really are, and of things that they really will be. Wherefore these things are manifested unto us plainly for the salvation of our souls. But behold, we are not witnesses alone in these things, for God hath spake them unto our prophets of old. But behold, the Jews were stiff-necked people, and they despised the words of plainness, and killed the prophets, and sought for things that they could not understand. Wherefore, because of their blindness, the prophet, which blindness came by looking beyond the mark, they must needs fall. For God hath taken away his plainness from them, and delivered unto them many things which they cannot understand, because they desired it. And because they desired it, God hath done it, and that they may stumble, which is a lot of ways to say that you need to be obedient. It's a really lot of words for just saying be obedient. And she said, I don't know why Heavenly Father told me to send this to you guys, but I do know that for some reason or another, I need to follow through. So whatever reason, here it is, and do with it whatever you need to. You guys don't need to say anything or even respond. Just know I love you and your wonderful family very much. I believe that. I believe that at the end, she loves us. But like, it's so like,
Heavenly Father didn't say anything to her. I'm sorry. Like,
it was
saw very apparent.
My nose ring and lack of garments and the fact that we're not going to church.
Yeah, I wasn't wearing them either. I didn't go to church on Easter Sunday.
That's not a prompting. That's
not
your
prompted.
Opinion.
Yeah. It's
so, and it was frustrating. Like, I love Chez's mom, but so I was learning quickly to despise the parade of I was inspired to, like send this talk or bear my testimony. It's not inspiration when you see and hear things that indicate our inactivity, and see me wearing clothing that shows a lack of garments, and you hear that I'm not going to church, and then decide to send something designated or designed to guilt trip people into having certain feelings. That's not revelation. It's not inspiration. It's not guidance. It's just manipulation. No matter how well-meaning you think you are, it's manipulation. So Chez decided after Easter, after his mom sent this, that he needed to tell his family straight up.
I was done. I was like, I'm not pretending anymore. I cannot put up with this charade.
Yeah.
Can't.
So he sent an email out to his family that was very similar to my Facebook post. It was not mean. It was not crass or even angry. It was just very diplomatic, and just said that he loved them all and he's still himself. He hasn't changed. And that we still want to support their families and to be involved because we support them in all of that they do. We don't really want to do that anymore.
Yeah. When I sent that, I'm like, yeah, I'll still.
We'll go to the baptisms. We'll go to the.
Yeah.
We don't want to do that.
We don't support that. No.
Yeah. We weren't lying. It's just where we were at the time, and we're at a different place now. But he said that he can't continue in the church. His siblings all immediately responded with simple, like, I love you, bro, kind of messages, like, we support you, like, we still love you, of course, and stuff like that. But his parents did not respond, not to the email, not to multiple texts, not to calls, not to my texts about events with our kids or anything. We were not invited to family functions. They didn't come to events that we invited them to.
Pretty important events, too.
Yeah. We were blindsided by it. We expected his dad to be angry, and we expected his mom to cry. We expected ranting from his dad. And, so we're still working through that. It's been a year, and we're still working through that. Like, people kept saying, well, they just need more time. But I don't buy that. Like, I get that this is a big deal to a lot of people, and I understand that they feel like it puts their family in danger, but that behavior is still unacceptable. It's abhorrent. Like, you can be upset about it and still say, I want to understand because this doesn't make sense to me. Can we have a calm talk about it? You can even just say, hey, this is hard for me, but I love you, or even just say, I love you, even. And that's it, and then continue to deal with it how you need. But just to ghost your own kid, like, I kind of feel like that is really immoral.
Yeah.
It's wrong. And like, I have a lot of respect for different ways people may choose to process those feelings. It isn't easy. And I know I am not speaking from a place of, well, I would when I haven't done that, but I did. I dealt with it when Mahone came out of the church and when my daughter came out as bisexual. I have literally had to deal with difficult things that my kids have come to me with. And I didn't do this to them. I didn't abandon them. I struggled in a way that I did not make them responsible for my feelings. And I immediately told them I loved them. I am not trying to claim I'm perfect, but I am damn sure that I handled those situations with the utmost compassion and in the best way possible. And I absolutely will judge people who do emotional damage to others because they can't control those people. Like, regardless of whatever theology you have and, faith and believe in, we don't actually know what's going to happen after life. Literally nobody knows. Maybe it'll be glorious, but maybe there's nothing, And isn't that possibly more reason to embrace others and love them despite our differences? Isn't it more reason to spend our time and our money and our resources giving to others and relieving their suffering and making their lives better because they may only have one? Did you want to say something?
No, it's just like exactly like me, like right now. Like, I want everyone to be happy because if this is all we got, then everyone should be enjoying this life as much as possible.
Yeah. I mean, like, maybe we don't have forever. Maybe we just have this life. We don't know, And on Mother's Day, they told us that we were not welcome. Actually, what happened was, there's usually a family group text, and since we got married, I am the person who organizes it.
She tells me everything we're doing. I'm like, she's like, we're going to this. I'm like, okay.
Your family's having this party this weekend. It's your dad's birthday. It's Mother's Day is coming up. It's these things are happening, and this is what we're bringing. We're, your mom typically assigns, she's like, can you bring this thing? Like, I don't sign up or whatever, but we typically contribute. We bring something, and I'm the one who coordinates it. And Ches is involved in those, but it is what it is. And I'm the person who does that. So I hadn't heard anything about Mother's Day, and it was coming up. It was like a week before Mother's Day, and I was like, and I knew I did this on purpose this way. I commented in a group chat, and I said, what's up for Mother's Day? What can I bring? Because I knew that there was a
every year they do something.
Yeah, they do. Like, it's not.
Yeah. Like, this isn't unusual.
It's not unusual.
Like, what's going on?
Yeah. Like, that's also not, like, I didn't feel like it was out of the ordinary, but I think it was, like, I hadn't heard anything, and normally we had planned by then. But I knew because of the silence, and I knew because we had been excluded from some other family events that people had posted about it, and the family was there, and we're like, we didn't hear about this. So I posted in the group chat because I knew that if I posted there, then everybody would see that I was trying to be like, hey, we want to be involved. And if your parents were saying they don't want to be involved, they don't want to, or they couldn't put it on us because I was publicly saying, hey, what's happening, And so, and I had commented, and I just was like, what's happening? And your mom responded to me and said, please see the message that we sent to our son.
What?
Which I was like, that is bizarre. Okay. So they just basically told us through a text to him only, that this was like 6 or 7 weeks after we sent them our email. Easter was early. It was at the end of March last year, and we emailed within a few days of it being April. So it was like 6 weeks later that Mother's Day happened. And I still have really hard feelings about this. They said that we'd broken their hearts, that our agency is Heavenly Father's plan, but they had difficult feelings about our decision to leave the church and to lead our children away as well, and that the church isn't just what they believe, it's what they are, and that they need space and distance while they work through their feelings about the choices we made, not only for ourselves, but 6 of God's children that we had stewardship over. Ches is mad about it.
I'm so mad. Oh.
But they referred to our kids as God's children, implying that they aren't ours. And basically, all in all, made themselves the victims.
It's not about you.
It's not about them. Like, I really, really struggled with that. Like, Chez's email was very respectful. It was very respectful. Just let them know, just let them know that he stepped away from the church. It was not confrontational. It didn't call them bad names. We didn't do anything to them that was unkind.
In this email, it was specifically saying that we all stepped away, because
as a family,
she already did, and the rest of the family would. Like, we have already talked to our kids about all of this, and we were all on the same page, all of us. We all had our own reasons. And that's
all in my Mormon story too. So if you want more details about that, it's all in my story about it. So you can find those on here. But yeah, it was a very respectful, it was very short. It was only like a paragraph long. It wasn't like big old things about, hey, read the CES letter and we hate the church and the herd. Like, we didn't say anything like that. It just was, we're the same people. We love you.
If I wrote a letter now, I'd say a lot more.
Well, at that time we hadn't really super dove in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it wasn't confrontational, and it wasn't unkind. It didn't cross boundaries, but here they were, acting like we had crossed boundaries when none of this was even about them, and they blocked us both on Facebook. So
I'm still not friends with them on Facebook.
No. Things are different now. They've excluded us. They excluded us for several months from family events because after they said, we don't want to see you right now, we're boo-hoo. We're crying about it, and and we need space and time. And we were like, okay, fine. And then when they did invite us to the family event for Memorial Day, they texted the information in a group text with like they normally would, but then at the end they were like, Ches and Bray, you're welcome to come if you would also like to, no obligation. And now they include no obligation Bray and Ches to every event, somehow our not being in the church was a declaration that we don't want to be involved in the family at all. We've gone to some events.
Well, with that declaration, I'm like, okay, no obligation.
Yeah, sometimes, but we've gone to some events. We don't get together constantly with your family anyway. It's usually holidays. We don't have a monthly dinner or something specifically. The next thing will be Easter, and we didn't see them since Christmas.
No.
Really. They did have a birthday party for Chez's dad, but Clementine was really sick and we didn't go to that anyway because Clementine, not because
I was sick too, wasn't I? Yeah.
We were passing some, I think we had three sick kids. So
and we misjudged the weeks.
Well, it was not because we didn't want to go or we're trying to be it just did not work out for us. So, but there hasn't been really anything since Christmas. So, it's not like we get together constantly with them or anything. It's mainly holidays, but mainly we've made our own family the priority. We've made plans for us in a lot of cases, for the 4th of July. My kids have always been in marching band in our small town in Tooele. And so his parents just didn't come.
Which they come every year.
They come every year since we've gotten married. They just didn't show up. And we were saving seats and everything for them. And
no, I texted them.
Yeah, we were like, are you coming? And they're like, oh no, we made other plans. Well, thanks for, letting us know. It's fine. It's fine. There isn't an obligation. It's just, we just didn't
No
know.
obligation.
And it was out of the norm. Do you know what I mean? It was out of the norm. And, but we've done fewer things with this family than we normally would have done. They didn't attend my son's graduation. They just didn't come to that. We invited them and everything. They didn't even tell us they weren't coming. They just didn't come. They didn't send a gift to my oldest daughter for her birthday that year.
They stopped communicating, basically.
Yeah, they just stopped altogether. And they did unblock us on Facebook, but they have not added us back as friends. And we didn't push any boundaries by trying to add them either.
No, I don't want to. I love my parents. Let me just say that.
No, we do. We love them, but it's complicated now, and there has not been any apology or resolution. We have not been able to tell them how they made us feel. They have not apologized for excluding us or anything like that. But we are expected to just come to family events and sit there with our mouths shut and our hands folded. And really honestly, we're fine with that. We are, because we didn't expect those things to change. The family has always been that way. The family has always been religious. Every holiday we get together, there's always a religious, your dad usually gives a little talk or something, not like a talk, but he talks to the family, and there's always prayers and everything, and it's fine.
Even my staunchly Mormon sisters and brothers are all looking around when my dad's still praying.
We're hungry.
What is going on? Anyway, sorry.
No, it's okay. But, we don't want anybody else to pretend that they are something that they aren't, or to hide what they are, because that's what we're trying not to do. We don't want to hide who we are or try to pretend to be something else, but while we don't pray ourselves, we're respectful enough to sit quietly, even fold our arms or whatever. Our kids are respectful. They aren't throwing it in anybody's faces or anything. But for us, it's an exhausting masquerade. While we haven't pushed any boundaries or anything, it's clear that our experiences or our feelings are not welcome. We can't talk about how my husband is studying Buddhism. He really likes Buddhism, and we can't talk about his feelings about his biological mom who passed away while he was on his mission, and whether or not he thinks she's around him or if he'll ever really see her again. But we always hear stories about his brother felt her presence in the temple. Cool. I believe him. I think there's an afterlife, and I think she absolutely has the ability to reach him that way. But I don't think that the temple is the only place where they can feel her.
And why wouldn't my mother visit me? Because I was her favorite. I really was. No, I really was. I
believe you.
I was with her through thick and thin the entire time. I really was her favorite. I was her baby. Come on.
Well, I just don't
Why
think
would she visit me?
Of course. Why wouldn't she? And I do not think that the church has a monopoly on our loved ones and their ability to reach out through, the temple only, though I will say this, the way that the church won't let us access Heavenly Mother, maybe it checks out. Maybe a little bit. You can't talk to your Heavenly Mother, and you also can't talk to your mom who passed away.
No, of course not. But my brother can.
But your brother can, in the temple.
Oh,
in the temple. But not Heavenly Mother in the temple.
I love my brother. There's nothing.
No. Like I
wrong.
said, I believe him.
Yeah.
I believe him when he says that he felt her presence. That's fantastic for him. It's just that, why can't you also?
I'm really spiritual, and I'm a good person. I don't feel like the Mormon Church has a monopoly on
And to be fair, his brother's never. It's not his brother making us feel that way. Either.
No, he has very good intentions, but then the intentions are...
It's the overall, the discussion as though we believe it, we just are making these bad choices.
It's
Do you
beer
know what
glasses, beer goggles.
Beer goggles.
It's spiritual beer goggles. It really is. They're drunk on spirituality and pieism. That's as far as I'm gonna go. I don't want to...
No, fair. But it's I can say I make soap, but I can't talk about my tarot cards, that I work spells and magic into my soap with intention and symbolism and stuff. We can't talk about our older children who are going to college because they live with my daughter's boyfriend, which, I'm totally fine with their choices and relationship.
But it's super healthy too.
They're adults
Yeah.
who pay their own rent and buy their own groceries and work and go to school. And it's no longer my place to impose rules on them. They don't live in my house. I'm their mom and I'll always be their mom and I love them, but this is a different era in my life. It is not my job to do that anymore for them, you know? And this is so bad. And I'm a horrible mother for allowing it, you know? They'd be absolutely horrified to know also that I helped her choose the best birth control for her because she did not know and asked me to go, you know. And I can't say those things. I can't extend myself beyond the basic pleasantries because they don't want to hear it. They don't want to know it because we have to be okay with their religiosity. The respect doesn't go both ways. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And this is why they didn't apologize, is because they feel like they're right in everything.
Yeah, they think that they're right. And this is why I feel like I need to write it down and to have it to share it, because when people react badly this way to things, whenever there is a toxic reaction, I feel like people need to know this. They need to hear it. You have made an example. You have shown everyone in your vicinity, your family, everyone around you, how you will react to anything that you dislike. Whether it's someone coming out as LGBTQ, an unwed pregnancy, drinking coffee, choosing to leave the church, or having differing politics, whatever that thing is, people will see how you reacted to the other person. And when it is a negative reaction, you can be assured that your children will never be allowed to be honest with their feelings. They will never feel safe, secure, understood, or loved, because that's not love. It is shame. And so maybe that's the goal. Maybe the whole idea is to scare others out of leaving the church, but it doesn't actually mean that they won't leave the church. It just means that they won't be honest with you. I mean, I sincerely hope that in my heart that with all, that all of my in-laws stay active in the church in an authentic way, because it breaks my heart to think that they would feel any smidgen of what we did. But I also feel like my mother and father-in-law kind of need to be told that, and I don't think it's ever occurred to them. Do you know what I mean? And I'll say this, when Mahone left the church and he was 16, maybe that's the difference. I don't know. Because Tori left the church and they didn't kick her out either, but she's 22, right? No, she's 24.
Yeah.
And his sister left the same time we did.
Yeah, she told them after I told
we did.
Them. Yeah.
And they were,
she
was like, they were fine.
Yeah.
They were fine. She wasn't excluded from anything or whatever. So I don't know exactly. But we didn't tell Mahone he couldn't participate in family activities. We didn't tell him he couldn't have dinner with us. We didn't tell Scarlett, because she's bisexual, that she doesn't get to.
Can I say something really fast?
Yeah, of course. That's why you're here.
There was this moment where someone in my family, I don't really want to go into the specifics, they were like, I'm losing my family. Why are you, even in the LDS church, even if someone leaves the church, you could still visit them. You don't want to go to the bad part of the neighborhood to visit us. Is that what you're saying? Because we're in the lower kingdoms?
Yeah, that's Mormon lore. I don't even think that that's doctrine. It's Mormon lore that you can go down and visit people, but they can't come up, and it's so sad. But frankly, I don't. The Mormon heaven sounds like absolute hell. I don't want to be there.
Anyway, I'm just saying, the way that they portrayed it, if you're super righteous and holy and everything, you go up to the very high kingdoms, and you can visit all the kingdoms below that. But she said, or this person said, that that they're losing their family. You're not losing. You can still visit us. Come visit us down in the lower kingdoms. Come on. It's so much funner.
It's more fun.
It's funner. It's so much funner. Oh my goodness.
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what comes next. And I am way more focused on making sure that this life that I know that I have is a genuine, authentic one.
Yeah, eat, drink, and be merry. When is that a bad thing? Just be happy now. That's basically how I feel like it says now. Looking at that scripture and everything, and I'm like...
Right, because in the church you're taught eat, drink, and be merry means you're being flippant about the gospel or whatever, but what eating and drinking and being merry and being happy, it doesn't say...
For tomorrow we die.
Go kill people. Go rob and swindle and rape and stuff like that. That's not what it's saying. Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die, because we only have this life. So I'm embracing that.
I'm embracing that too. I could die tomorrow, so let's do everything I can to live my best life now. And that means treating everyone around me and having a good attitude towards everyone. You know,
Yeah.
it
And
does.
and I'll say too, like not wearing my garments, not choosing to go to church, even though I have chosen not to drink coffee or alcohol just because I don't like it. I walk around in my life with like way more of a connection to other people and to my spirituality than I ever did while I was sitting in my Mormon bubble with literally the world bouncing off of me because I was shutting it all out. Like I was shutting out people and experiences that could show me that I was how to be compassionate and passionate and to be kind and charitable without expectation or reward. And that it's okay to not be charitable if I don't have the financial or emotional capacity at that time, because my circumstances do matter in all of that, because we're taught our circumstances don't matter, especially if you're a woman. What you want doesn't matter. And I can learn from other people in whatever space that they are in, that they're in, and appreciate those experiences without having to think, well, is this something I condone? Like, because the church says, and if I love this person, if I have a friendship with them, do I look like I'm condoning bad behavior? Am I avoiding the appearance of evil? I can take it at face value, and this all will teach me way more than the gilded cage of the church ever could have. You know?
Yeah, I just feel like they can't even see past the gilded cage. They can't even see past all of that at
It's funny
all.
because like in tarot, the devil is the card. The card that's the devil is like it's a gilded cage is essentially what it is. It's usually a cage or a door of some sort, and it's
Yeah.
yeah, which is funny.
I feel bad for them. They just can't see past it. They can't see all the things that are missing that can bring them joy and happiness. And I, I don't pity them, but I do. Is that the right word? I don't even know if that's the right
Pity the
word.
fool.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you have anything else that you want to add before we wrap up?
No, I just wanted to validate everything she said. I don't want anyone to think that she's making this up. Everything she said was absolutely true. And I had a hard time with my parents.
Well, and I don't know that it's ever going to be, it's never going to go back to the same. Like, I'm always going to, one thing I told you too was like when your mom sent us that message, and like it wasn't just from her, it was from her and your dad.
I don't think my mom would have said that on her own. And it made me so mad. I'm still mad about it.
Well, and I told you this, that there is not one single person in this whole world that could tell me that I could not have access to my kids.
Like
That I could, there's
if
nothing they could do.
if I told her she can't see her kids, she would
I'd be like, well, then bye.
yeah.
Like,
And I would not marry a woman who would say any differently.
there's not one thing in this world that, like, I mean, like, I raised my kids to be good people. I am confident that my kids are not going to go hold up a bank or rape a person, or, because I would absolutely find those things abhorrent. And I've made that clear. And they are not the kind of people who would do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, but if there were those kinds of situations, obviously there would be consequences, and like that's not okay. What I'm saying is that, like, normal people kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to abandon my child for like having a different opinion that I have,
Or a
or
belief
believing differently than me, or being a different sexual orientation than I am, or something like that. Like, these things are all so non-issues to me. And even if it did have, like I did, because when Mahone left the church and I struggled with that, like I said, I struggled behind closed doors, and I struggled with you. I
Yeah.
didn't do that in front of him. I dealt with it myself so that he didn't have the burden.
Yeah, like my parents putting their feelings on us was really unfair, and I don't think that's something that should ever happen as a parent. I'm a step parent of 5 kids, and I am the same way. Like, if anyone told me that I couldn't see my stepchildren, you know, I would go apeshit. I'm not even joking. But there's nothing that they could do or say, and
That they make us abandon them.
Yeah, our feelings are not their responsibility, and we have raised them to know that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember
they are not afraid to
Yeah.
talk to us about things. There's stuff they talk to us, but I've never talked to my parents about, even today.
And sometimes I'm thinking, like back when I was in the church, I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And
I don't want to hear this.
but I never told them that. You know, anything that ever happened that I had a hard time with, they didn't know I was having a hard time with, because that's not their responsibility. I talked to my wife.
We talk to each other about those things.
No one else. It's no one else's business. Because
I think it's normal to have, like, obviously, a caring parent has feelings about what their kids are doing or who they're dating or what they're doing after school or where they were. You know, we have feelings about those things. It's normal and necessary as a parent, but like, it's just not their responsibility. It's not something that they need to feel the burden of or feel like they can't tell us something because, oh, it's going to make mom feel this certain way or whatever.
But my parents did.
And I just would never, like, like Lily, and I said this in a previous one, when Mahone left, she didn't even talk to me about not leaving it, because I went to her afterwards. I was like, I'm making the decision not to wear garments and not to go to the temple, and I'm probably stepping away from the church. She's like, oh, that's cool. Like, I haven't gone to church in like months. Like, it's cool. And it was really casual, not because she was afraid of me or didn't tell me because she was afraid of how I'd react, because she already knew that it wasn't a big deal because of how I acted to Mahone. So I taught her that lesson, and she told me that. She's like, yeah, like, she's like, I've been meaning to talk to you, but it's just not like a big deal. Like,
it's not a big deal to us.
Yeah, like, she's like, I just haven't been going. And I was like, oh, good. Well, I was worried that it was a big deal to you. And she's like, no, it's not. We're cool. You know, like, I just, you know, it just was not, she wasn't afraid that I'd be mad. She knew that, and that's what I'm talking about.
But they're scared of me.
No, they're not. Ches is a tease, but no, like, but that's what I'm talking about, how the way that you react to things teaches your children and everybody else around you a lesson about how you're going to react if they have something that they need to tell you that they are struggling with or scared of or anything. Because if you react badly, like, and that's just the thing, there's this, you know, thing that's hanging over the whole family's head.
Yeah. Because
of the way that this was handled. And I really hope that everybody genuinely, I just think that it would break my heart for your family to be feeling like they couldn't, and for your parents to react that way. I don't know. I do wonder a little bit if maybe because why did they, like, obviously your brother has never been a member, and they're fine with him, and they're fine with his significant other and his, for all intents and purposes, stepdaughter, and she's, you know, like, and it's wonderful, and they love them, and they're fine, and they're welcome. And they're fine with your sister. She doesn't have kids or anything. But why us?
I don't get that. I
think they might blame me.
Yeah.
I think they might, which is why they wouldn't talk to me in text, and why they wouldn't, why they sent everything through Ches, and which is fine. Like, if that's how they want to do things, then I just don't feel comfortable either.
Look, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I became an instant dad to 5 kids.
Mm-hmm.
I learned really quick to be like, to talk to my wife before I talk to the children. Like, I'm like, am I wrong here? What's the best approach here? You know?
And those kids instantly became your biggest priority instead of.
Yeah. And I wanted to know how I can talk to them if I had a concern, you know, and I'd always talk to my wife, and there was a few times when I had to address the situation on me, but what I'm saying here is I took into account how I should react every single time that didn't put the weight on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You were awesome about that. And yeah.
You got to learn quick, and I had to learn quick, and I'm glad that I did. I learned things that I don't think any other parent could learn without knowing those boundaries, you know. I learned boundaries that most people don't really recognize because it's a
Well,
learning
it's
curve.
different from like I raised them from babies, and then you came in and you had like, you know, full thinking adults. They weren't adults. They were 8, 7.
They're so
They
smart though.
but they are.
They're
Like
really
they're
smart.
not a little baby that you're like, "Oh man, I had a rough day. I'll start over tomorrow." Like they were already cognizantly being like, "Well, this person makes me feel this way."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where I raised them from a baby. And you know, you're not the only but my dad is my stepdad and he's awesome and everything too. You know, like you're not the only stepdad, but it's true that like most people, even step parents, don't go into 5 kids. And it was kind of a baptism by fire.
I'm not trying to toot my own horn.
No, you should. Like, you absolutely should. It was, you know, you've been fantastic. So, anyway, but anything else before we wrap up?
No, I'll just keep talking. I should wrap it up.
No.
So.
But thank you for being here for this one. And
I just validate everything she said. Everything she said is spot on and true. And I don't want anyone to be like.
I do want to make sure that this is just known that this isn't just a rag on, it's an experience. Like, and I felt like going into this, I thought about leaving it out, but I feel like it's an important thing. The reason that people treat their family members this way when they leave is because the church tells them to. If the church absolutely was like, look, love your family, just love them, that's fine, then there wouldn't be this much trouble. And we're not the only people. There have been other people who have worse experiences, you know. But the church doesn't. They do say love them, but they also say love them, but don't listen to them. Love them, but also do not condone their choices. Love them, but also like make sure that they know that this isn't okay with you. Do you know what I mean? I think everybody kind of knows what I mean, especially in this community. There are a lot of people, like I said, who have had worse experiences that we have, but I don't think that it helps anybody or solves any problems to sugarcoat or leave things out. I told really difficult experiences with my ex-husband and with the patriarchy and stuff like that, and I think this is just as important to talk about.
Wait, I really want to start a church that just is called Don't Be a Dick.
No obligations at all.
No.
Just don't be a dick.
That's my church.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening, and please feel free to leave your experiences. We would love to hear from you. And talk to you later.